Erin Guillermo. Hey, congratulations on your pilot for Running Errands.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's hilarious. It's funny. I find this very delightful, but also congratulations is being showcased at Dances with Films in New York City this year. How do you both feel about that?
Of all the festivals that we've been running and submitted to, I was most excited at the opportunity to work with Dances with Films. It's so notable, what, for almost 30 years in LA, and that they opened up a branch in New York just in the recent years, but still treat it with the same precision and organization that they do in LA. It's really like the Ivy Leagues of independent film festivals, as far as I'm concerned. And they really treat each project as if it's already been picked up for distribution.
Hmm.
So the requirements that they ask of each filmmaker really prepares them for what would be the next step of being acquired and distributed. And I haven't worked with another festival that does that. So I give them all the accolades, and I'm so excited to be able to run with them next week.
How do you feel, Guillermo?
No, it's pretty exciting. I have a big admiration for them and big respect for everything they've been doing. The celebration of independent filmmaking that they carry with themselves in their shoulders is amazing. And this is going to be my first time in New York. I had the opportunity to participate with them a couple of years ago with a short film that I directed in LA, and the experience was incredible. At that time, I couldn't be there in the red carpet and the premiere because I was doing a play here in New York, actually. So this is physically my first time in the festival, and to make it happen here in New York is just, it's a dream come true.
Well said. Well, let's ask that obligatory question we always ask these filmmakers is where the original idea came from for running errands.
So Guillermo and I have been producing together on and off for over a decade with our production company, Golden Saba. And, I had taken a couple of years off to have my son, but I felt such a void with executive producing and, being key crew. It really called to me. And I decided that this was going to be my welcome back Cotter moment. And it's funny because, an obligatory question everybody asks an actor is, what's your dream role to play?
Hmm.
Right? Because actors love to manifest. And if you put it out there, maybe it'll come true. But my dream role was always kind of to be myself and play myself. So running errands spawned from my own history of experiences living on the Upper East Side, being a single mom, running that rat race. And I felt like it would be such a relatable story to anyone who is, in their 40s still trying to find their purpose and needing to be relevant and liked by the people around them. So it began as sort of the idea of a girl who's the mayor in her own mind. And then it just became very authentic, so authentic that the people that are the other cast members, I had the actual people in my life who inspired those roles play those characters. So over 50% of the cast is played by my friends and family who are in my day to day. And really, I'd say 80% of the crew are crew members that Guillermo and I have worked with all these years that we love to be around every day. So it was sort of this, it's like you're like breaking the wall for yourself, that everywhere you looked, you had a history of memories with each person, that you can't really manufacture those emotions, no matter how hard you try with strangers or new people that you've met. So just like Erin lives in this beautiful bubble that she doesn't want anything to penetrate, I created this bubble of my actual life that I've had with Guillermo, who's my best friend and my brother. So it's sort of transcended what would be a docu-comedy. And then we used a lot of people's collection of their own experiences to write their parts with them.
Huh. Interesting. So how much real life and how much fiction is in this?
It's funny because the fiction is becoming more real every day since we shot. I would say it's about 60-40,
Hmm.
but the locations are 100% real life. The places I go and then the people I see, it's more than half. Would you say, Guille?
Yeah, I would say like 50-50, 60-40. It depends on, it's just numbers. I'm not good at numbers. So, yeah. But the reality is that it's a really good combination. Here's the thing, like, Erin and I, we both share, and that's probably the reason why we are so close in the human level and also in the creative level. But we share this passion, almost like an addiction for creation. We're always coming out with new ideas, right? And new things. When she brought this idea to a table, because this is her baby, this is something she envisioned, she wanted to do. It was like, let's go. It was just like, yes, let's go. Let's go with the flow. Let's make it happen. And this is the first time she actually gets to write the script, and I have to pay a big accolade to her and celebrate that fact, because I always knew that she had that talent, coming from acting and coming from creating and producing. I've seen how she has the ability to envision something and then put it into, or turning that idea into a reality. But she never wrote before. This is the first time, she takes the initiative, and it was, in my opinion, seeing that idea shaping into a reality. What she did was, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but she took things from her real world and her imagination and characters from her imagination and the real world, and she merged that into this unique shape called Running Erins. So it's like her creative mind bringing things from the imaginary world and the real world, and just making them shape all together in this bubble, as she calls it. And it's pretty funny, and it's really interesting. Like, I keep telling her all the time, like, you have no, I'm not a father, but I have so much respect for all my friends, because all my friends who are fathers and mothers, especially in a place like New York, I see him going through all those challenges, and when I say challenges, I'm not just talking about like regular basis life, but what goes on psychologically as well when somebody tries to belong to something, especially as a father. And I think that that's part of the conflict of Erin as a character in this piece, like alienation, like we all feel alienated at a certain point. We all feel that we do not belong to some place, and we all struggle to be part of something. That society, I mean, that makes us social beings, right? And she put it very well in the script, and it was so much fun doing it.
Aaron, could you go ahead and address putting your life on paper and trying to make it entertaining at the same time?
Well, I'm lucky that I'm surrounded by yes people, where I say, by the way, you're going to play yourself. And they go, yes, what time do you need me? And, different to working with actors, you have these, real people. They have all kinds of corporate jobs. They have an excitement and a vulnerability when they get on set. They don't know how to be anything else other than themselves. So you have this fresh palette with these people who aren't putting on any airs. They really just have their feet on the ground. So in terms of directing them for acting, it's all already there because they don't know anything else but to be authentic to themselves. So I found it super refreshing. Then when you add an element of drama to these otherwise ordinary situations, they really played into it without any questions. They were yes and yes and. So, and it was a good time to be social because Guille and I love being on set the most with the people that we love because we have such a great time. And our crew members keep wanting to work with us over and over again because it's a fun day at work.
Mhm.
So for me, it went to the next level of just being in a party all day, every day, and, making solutions to unsolvable problems, right? It's an addiction, as Guille said, and he's not wrong about that. We're thinking about it all day and all night. But it became sort of like, American Ninja Warrior, like how do we fix these things? And it's fun. It's not really stressful. It becomes like in our nature. And it helps us with our lives, with our day-to-day problems. How do you find solutions to these unsolvable problems in our worlds? So every time we make something, I think we do become better listeners, better friends, better people. So, I mean, it was just the perfect storm to bring the real life and the dramatized life together for me.
Guillermo, tell us about your approach on directing this episode, with actors, I mean, and also real life people, and your best friend Erin here, who you know so well on
Too.
Mhm.
too well.
I mean, the approach to me was, I mean, first of all, let me say that this is the first time I do something like this. This is the first time I had to direct what I call natural actors and not trained actors. Because even though they are playing themselves, they have to build something in there. They have to, even if that's like a small action, it's what we do as actors. We build actions, we build fictional worlds, and they had to do that. And it was great working with them because, as Erin said, it was beautiful to witness somebody bringing vulnerability and truthfulness, on set. And even this thing that I believe that, it's a great reminder for any professional actor, just the naivete that you need to have, the curiosity, the innocence that you need to have as an artist when you approach something new. Sometimes when you work with very well trained actors, artists in general, right? We believe in. I'm mentioning even myself because we have all made that mistake. We believe that we know everything, that we have the knowledge, we have the training, right, to sort this out. And when you work with natural actors, they don't have that. So they are willing to go. If the green light is there in their mind, if the green light is there, if it's yes, let's go. I'm here. What do you need me to do? What should I do? Right. And if they are willing to let themselves been directed or trained in a few days into something, that process is so beautiful to see, to watch, because we all went through that. So to me, it was a beautiful reminder of the basis, you know, of the basis as an actor, as a director, as a creator, when you first start discovering what acting is about, right? And then on the other hand, we had, professional actors willing to play with that too and willing to help the others.
Mhm.
So it was a beautiful combination. It was a great exercise. I never had, as I said, this is my first time doing something like this, but it was great. It was beautiful. And it was a learning process for me, In terms of the approach, it was the same approach I've had, anytime I direct something, even with Erin, like Erin and I, we spent a lot of time building the character because we knew that she was playing Erin, but we treated that part as a character, and we built it from, I would say, from the scratch. We spent a lot of time working on it, having, several conversations. She would, almost a month, as we were, or as she was reshaping the script, we were discovering new layers in the situations and the character, and, in relationship with some other characters as well. So it was great.
It is great. All the pieces fit together, and the story of being a mom. Usually how we portray stories about being a mom is, there's always drama, there's always conflict, there's always breakdowns, but in Running Errands, it seems like you find the humor in everything. In these situations, and I want to say in filmmaking, comedy is much harder than drama.
Oh yeah.
That's
So,
what Tim said.
so tell us about finding humor in everything, especially real life situations.
I think that that's how I cope in general. That's very authentic to my natural disposition. Even in the worst of times, if I can laugh at it, I know that I'm going to get through it. So for me, that came pretty naturally. It's an elevated mood of this in the show, but I think in any time you would know me, I find humor in the oddest of situations, whether it's appropriate or not is a different story. But to me, that came very naturally. I love speaking about myself in the third person. I always think that's interesting. But Erin is also a child. There's a lot of childishness in her. So she's also trying to grow up. And if you look at my son Milo, who plays Milo in the show, he's got that. Every second of his life, he just wants to have a good time. So I sort of also took my cues from him that he approaches every situation wanting to laugh, wanting to have a party with everybody, whether it's appropriate or not, again, is a different story. But she's really a 7-year old as well as a 48-year-old.
Hmm. Well said. Now, of course, this is right now is a pilot for Running Errands. So, how much more have you already planned out for more episodes for Running Errands, or are you waiting for it to be hopefully picked up by someone first?
Well, I try to be flexible where in a dream, it would be picked up and you'd have a writing room of people to help shape, the next, 6, 8 episodes. But I couldn't stop writing and people really were resonating with it. What's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? So I do have a pretty nice scope of where this will go and how it can resolve. So I have 6 solid episodes after this that would be good to go. But I am not, I've long since let go of my attachment to anything. And that's globally in my life. You have a dream and then you sort of move yourself away from it and know that the chips are going to fall where they may. So, I want you also want to give the people what they want at the same time as fulfilling yourself and staying genuine. So if I could go and produce this all by myself with Guille again, we'd have quite a nice season one. But I love to collaborate. And why we have a production company and now we've merged into a Golden Skyline production studio is because we love to collaborate with other artists. It's a community. So if somebody wanted to pick it up and we would work on it together, that would be fantastic as well. So I'm trying to stay malleable.
Well said, well said. And I'm curious, between the both of you, how did you two actually meet to form your production company? I'm going to go ahead and assume it wasn't through a plumbing situation.
No, because if you ask Guy to fix anything, he cannot. So that was a
Exactly.
fictional representation of Guillermo. But
Yeah.
it's so nice that you asked this, and we could make a whole movie just on how we met. But actually, I've been married twice in my life, and you would learn this about me in future episodes. My first husband was a lovable, adorable creative as well. And he was working with me and he was working with Guillermo. And he was the one who convinced Guillermo to leave Mexico, where he had quite a full-time job working in the soaps and working in films, convinced him to come to New York because people in the States wanted him. He was getting calls for Guillermo every day, and Guillermo wasn't here. He was there. He's like, I can't really help you in New York and LA if you're not here. So Guillermo uprooted his entire life to come to New York, unbeknownst to Guillermo. And what I was keeping on the down low at the time is that my husband was very sick. He did have an addiction that, took over his life. And as Guillermo is packing up his things, I also was at the beginning of packing up that chapter of my life. And I was very overwhelmed with that. And I wasn't telling anybody yet. Again, you'll learn all of this in future episodes of Running Errands. But when Guillermo landed, was it was almost the day that my first husband had to close his own company because he was in over his head. So I had helped Guillermo get an apartment just a few blocks from where I lived, just as a friend. And I had to be the one to be his first house call on his first week in the city to tell him, I have some very bad news for you. Things are not working out the way they were promised. And so, it seems you
Yeah,
can't.
basically, let me just interrupt here for a second. Basically,
Yeah.
she said, "Listen, you came here for nothing."
I did not say that. I softened the blow. I softened the blow. But what I did say and what I meant and what I will always mean is that don't worry, we have a lot of work to do here together, and we will. And the next, few days following, I joke that Guillermo started to write what I call the Guillermo Manifesto, which was the business plan for a production company called Golden Saba. And that was the beginning of the next chapter of our life that we have continued to move forward with. We have produced together, I'd say a dozen things. Guillermo with this company has produced way more than that. And we've seen each other through all the ups and downs of what it is to own a business. And we continue to persevere and get better and get stronger and learn lessons. And it all came from what could have been a catastrophe for both of us. We made something beautiful. And we always think of Jeremy in everything that we do. So it means so
That
much
is
to me
true.
that you asked me this question because nobody asks this. And it's
Yeah,
a story that we love to tell because he's
yeah,
with us all the time in everything that we do. He
yeah.
was a wonderful
And
person.
that's a clear example of what she was saying, learning how to laugh at tragedies as well and how to move on and how to, because that could, as she said, that could have been a catastrophe, and it could have just, like end the relationship in there or whatever. And it was just like, okay, so this happened. It was painful, especially for her. Jeremy was my agent at that time, but it was her husband, her partner at that time. And it was really sad, when he passed away. It was really sad, but we decided to honor him doing what we like the most, and that's creating and doing things and producing, and that's how the strike came about, and then the next movie, and then the next project, and then the next idea, and here we are, many years after that, still creating and full of passion and love and respect for Jeremy and for the universe, if you want to call it that way, because there was a reason. There's always a reason why we all come together and whatever. So, and we have done a lot of things, and we're just planning on doing more. So it's great.
It's what he always wanted for both of us. He wanted us
Yes,
to be
that is
doing what we
true.
love, and he believed in both of us. So we will never let him down.
That is terrific. Well, I've taken a lot of time with the both of you already. Besides, Dances with Films, are there other chances that other audiences have a chance to watch Running Errands, possibly other film festivals down the road?
So we've run a few festivals up until this point. So at this moment, Dances with Films is ending this year's festivals, but I am looking to submit it to more as we're taking meetings for acquisitions and for hopefully distribution. So hopefully there'll be updates on this in 2025, and there will be lots more chances to see it. It is my biggest hope that they'll be able to turn on their TV and find it for themselves easily. So let's put that out there too.
Let's manifest that out there. Erin, Guillermo, thank you very much for carrying this conversation with us about running errands. Let's circle back and let's do this again.
I would love it.
Yes, sure.
Anytime.